Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, what is going on? Is the Bitcoin and crypto correction over? Let's talk about it, and let's talk about signs of a reversal. All right, let's do this and talk about what is happening this week, what to expect, and more. All right. Let's do it, guys. Oops. Welcome. Unfortunately, we are starting out the day at 115,700. Obviously, a little bit lower than last week, even over the weekend. Really, something happened yesterday that drove us higher. But obviously, we were hovering around 117, 118. Throughout last week, we filled the CME gap. Looked like we were going higher, and then yesterday, boom, someone decided, nah, it was time to clear out more leverage, and we went all the way down overnight. We went to 114.7, and now we're back to 115.7. So this does correlate. I'll show you guys the liquidation heat map. It does correlate to a level that had a lot of longs there, right? But why did this happen? Why do we all of a sudden have a little bit of sell-off? Even look at CNBC. Normally, you don't see the headline, the main headline news about Bitcoin. Unfortunately, this one is not a good one. On the front page of CNBC, Bitcoin sinks to 115,000 after hitting its newest record. Yeah, that's right. That was a week ago. As macro concerns spark liquidation wave. So basically that sums up what happened. Like I said, you had a lot of liquidations, right? Certain levels were cleared out, but macro concerns. This week we have a lot of them. Starting on Wednesday, not only do we have a Fed governor talking, but we also have that FOMC minutes coming out. Now, normally speaking, FOMC, minutes or Fed minutes, they don't bring a lot of volatility, but the recent ones have a little more weight to them. So this one probably will even have more because everyone wants to know if we're going to get that rate cut and how many of them still left for this year. And is there a possibility of a 50 basis point cut, right? Last one was very controversial because everyone thought in July we should have gotten a rate cut, and we didn't. It was 8-2, the vote. But now one of those governors is gone. And I think people want to hear, like, what was actually discussed behind closed doors? How close was it, right? So that is coming on Wednesday. Like I said, these been having a little bit more weight than usual. So maybe Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday leading up to it, we may get some volatility. But for sure, leading up to Friday, we will have more. Because not only are we going to get a jobless claim and more presidents talking, but Jerome Powell, Fed Chair Powell, will be at Jackson Hole. He's going to be there for the last 2 days of this week. Or last 3 days. He's going to be there for a while. But he is going to be giving his speech that he does whenever he's there. And memory serves, last time he spoke from Jackson Hole, it was not a good thing. He reemphasized, I believe, staying the course, keeping rates elevated, and so forth. I remember that was the last time. This time, I think people are waiting to hear again if he's going to relax his stance because we had some bad economic data. But we also had inflation, at least PPI inflation, go up a lot. So I think people are really worried about if he's going to come off dovish once again. He usually is. Hawkish. He usually is very hawkish. People are looking for dovish. People are ready for rate cuts And there should be one next month. Although people are starting to get worried by the fact that this percentage keeps on going down. We were at 96% last week. Then we dropped down to 92%, and somehow it's down to 85%. And a Powell comes out and is like really, really, really dovish. I mean, hawkish. Then that percentage may drop even more to like 50%. This is not the direction we want to go. We want to go in the opposite direction. We want to see this go to 100%, and then some percentage spill over into a 50 basis point cut. But that's not what we're seeing right now, which is unfortunate. But again, leading up to Jackson Hole, Powell speech is going to be very scrutinized. And we will probably get volatility on Thursday and Friday for sure, because people are going to be very antsy about what he's going to say. All right, so those are the major stuff, okay, for this week. There may be others, but those two events are going to be pretty major. Pretty major. Now, does that mean that the correction is over? Well, if you're looking at the liquidation heat map, right, and I've been saying how this has been very, very accurate. Last 24-hour wrecked 570 million basically, mostly longs, not on the short side. You know what? I guess the market makers, they knew that there would be some FUD this week, and what better time than now to clear out more longs. And this number traditionally, a lot of people follow it, but it's actually proven that this is low, so actually a lot more. But if you look at the levels, yeah, we cleared out a whole bunch on the downside. That's why we went all the way down to 114.7 and held there. But yesterday, this was actually a really, 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 really yellow level. So it made sense, right? But the good news is, now that we have cleared out all those longs, look at the upside. Look at all this, starting from 115.9, basically 116, all the way up. There's a little bit less here, about 118. So, and then we got more leading up to 120s. So now that we got rid of levels on the downside, what about the upside? There's a lot more to liquidate. And those are all shorts, by the way, right? So going up, we got a lot of levels. But right now, I think because of all the FUD for this week, that's what happened, right? Market makers taking advantage of the situation. And in case you're wondering, well, who are the market makers? Like Binance. That's why this is always the fault of Binance, because they have by far the most liquidity of any exchange out there. Now, does that mean the run is over? Obviously not, okay? Short term, when you zoom in like this, everything looks scary, right? Like, oh my God, a big dump here. Oh my God, a big dump there. But you know what? When you zoom out, you're like, okay, we're still moving upwards. We're actually following this trend line pretty darn closely. You could see how after our recent run to 124,000, yeah, we pulled back, but we basically pulled back exactly to that trend line, which we have done before. Remember when we were like hovering around here, 118 and stuff, we dumped down to about 111. That happened just 2 weeks ago. That was August 3rd. And then we started climbing back up and formed a new high, right? So now that we have come down to 115, 114, 115, according to history, this is where we bounce off of and we continue forward. This trend line, even though sometimes we break it, you could see, sometimes we go through, right? But we always have them. There's always going to be pullbacks, and then we recover from. That's it. Quite simple. Does that mean we have erased all this? No. Does that mean the run is over? No. We just had a slight pullback, right? And those that understand this will continue to load up and DCA, because that's the winning strategy. What are you supposed to do? DCA, 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 hot on DCA, right? And that is the smart move. It's been proven that is the winning strategy. And Saylor decided to follow just that. Well, he's been following for years, okay? I don't mean to imply that it's like, oh, he's only doing it now. No, he's been doing it since 2020. But he has been increasing his DCAs for a while now, within the last year or so. Really just starting to acquire as much as he can with everything. This is a smaller purchase, but nevertheless, it's still $51 million. One thing that he did announce today, that he announced before, but he changed during his quarterly. But this explains exactly why, if some of you guys are wondering why MSTR seems to be weak at times, is because of his strategy to issue more stock to acquire more Bitcoin, right? Even though he has all these other ones that he has come out with, for example, Strike and Strife and Stride, and I don't even know what the new one is called. But all these, he raised billions, okay? But people forget, he still issues more MSTR in order to acquire Bitcoin too. So now he has this implied MSTR price, and I think MSTR is around 300 something right now. So between 200 and 600, below 2.5x MNAV. Strategy will tactically issue MSTR to pay interest on debt obligations, okay, fund preferred equity dividends, and when otherwise deems advantageous to the company. So he's going to be issuing MSTR anything above 210 basically. And if MSTR ever gets above 600, he will opportunistically issue MSTR to acquire Bitcoin. And above 1,000, he would actively issue MSTR to acquire Bitcoin. So basically, he's going to be issuing MSTR no matter what. Unless it drops below 210, then he will be issuing credit to repurchase. But that's his new thing now. So it makes a lot of sense. So I know some of you guys are wondering why during good times, sometimes strategy is still down and doesn't go up. This is the reason. Because his ultimate goal is to just acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, right? And utilizing all of his companies to do so. He's just, that's his game, to acquire as much as he can. And others like Remix Point, Meta Planet, and a lot of the others, they're doing the same thing. Basically issuing debt, or issuing shares in this case, and buying more Bitcoin. More and more and more and more. So they are taking it to an extreme, DCA, right? But it does help us all because the concept is, hey, supply and demand. And if demand is still very, 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 very high, and supply is low, and we know it is, Bitcoin is scarce and has a max supply point, or a max, what do you call it, max number. Obviously, Bitcoin's only going to go in one direction, and that's upwards. And every single week, we have more and more and more companies contributing to demand because they are getting involved now and they're acquiring. So here's one, a new Bitcoin treasury company. The sole purpose is just to acquire Bitcoin. They have no other purpose now. The sole purpose is just to acquire Bitcoin. And we have seen this within the last month or two. We have seen so many of these headlines of just new companies coming in to acquire Bitcoin only. And not just Bitcoin, also ETH too, right? And Sol and others. There's so many. And as you can see with this graph, it's only going to increase. So now you have 35 companies holding 1,000 Bitcoin. Pretty soon we'll hit 40 companies. Pretty soon we'll hit 50. Pretty soon we'll hit 100, and go on and on and on and on and on. And 1,000 Bitcoin is no joke. That's a lot. And we'll keep on increasing. Right? All right, last few things for Bitcoin. If you look at our current trajectory, yeah, that trend line I talked about, here's another one. You know, we broke past it. We utilize as a support, or we are utilizing as a support, and you know what? That's perfectly healthy. But in terms of this cycle, man, we still got a long ways to go. This is just showing the next level that we haven't breached yet, somewhere between 130 and 150, right? But we've been doing the stair stepping, and we will continue to do so. And we may even go beyond this cycle. I saw someone in the live chat before we started saying that, oh, there's no way that we're going to get to 200,000 by the end of this year. He may be right, but who's to say that we have to end in December? With all the acquiring with the DCAing, especially from these big companies, who's to say that we have to stop in December? We could continue on and extend well into 2026. And maybe we just don't have any more crypto winters. We could have corrections. We could have pullbacks. We could have some market manipulation. But who's to say that we are going to have another crypto winter? We'll see. We'll see. But we are still trending upwards. We haven't made that new level yet. Once we get there, let's see what happens. September, October is gearing up to be pretty fantastic. So let's see. Now, also, with the recent correction or pullback, ETH also did the same thing. But again, when in doubt, zoom out. ETH has come up a long way within just a few weeks, even months. I mean, beginning of the month. Remember, it's only August 18th, okay? ETH pulled back to 33.50 on August 3rd. That was when Bitcoin pulled back to 111. We are a full $1,000 higher since August 3rd. So take a second to think about that. That's like a 30% difference still, right? So yeah, ETH pulled back, but did it lose all its gains from 2 weeks ago? No, it didn't. So instead of focusing on what has happened the last few days, let's focus what happened the last few weeks or the last few months when ETH was still under, what, 2350. It pulled back to 2100 end of June. That's a full 100% gain from that level. So even though we pull back, you know what? Things are good. This is a healthy correction or adjustment. We may have gone up a little bit too quickly, and the market makers are pulling things back. That's how it works. But right now, though, it does seem like ETH takes a while to unstake. There are a lot of people that are staking, a lot of people using liquid staking methods too, like Lido, for example. But traditional ETH staking takes like 15, 16 days. The Q hit a multi-year high because of the recent pullback. Now, one of the good side effects to long waits for unstaking is the fact that it forces people to hold. And sometimes that's the best thing, right? A lot of people are very reactionary. They fall for the FUD and immediately they're like, I got to sell everything, right? But when you're forced to hold, these guys that may be like, all right, I got to dump my ETH right now. They may be happy to see that after their 2 weeks of unstaking waiting period is over, ETH is back to its all-time high, and then they restake it. They don't even sell. So that's one of the good things about longer unstaking times. No one ever talks about it, but I've experienced it. Others have experienced it where they have told me that, yeah, it's good that I didn't do it. I didn't touch it. You know, that I couldn't sell it, panic sell it when others were doing so. So just to share. But yeah, ETH profits definitely haven't been wiped out. Sol is still heating up too. And recently they stress tested and they were able to get 100,000 transactions per second. That's crazy. And they're still looking to upgrade too. Right? And their leading revenue, you could see above Tron, above Ethereum, above Bitcoin. So there are definitely a ton of transactions. And in order for revenue to be so high, I mean, the transaction count on Solana must be way, 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 way above all the other chains to be able to have that much transaction revenue. So good stuff. Good stuff all around. All right, guys. That is pretty much it. Let's see. The U.S. market is still red, or yeah, it's not really red. It's kind of mixed. Could turn either way, but like I said, there's a couple of big macro events that's happening this week, and that may make traders a little bit more worried. The crypto stocks on MicroStrategy and Coinbase down slightly, circle down less. All right. Let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see. There are a lot of angry people in the live chat. Some are cool-headed, some are very heated. Does not like, no one likes corrections, right? No one likes pullbacks. Okay, no one likes to see the portfolio go down. I mean, that's obvious. But if you're a smart investor, you're a long-time investor, you know that these happen all the time. That's what the charts are for. You could see it. We had this happen 2 weeks ago when Bitcoin pulled back to 115 or 111. And we had a time where Bitcoin pulled back to 98,000. You know, here's a pullback, you know, down to 100,000. I mean, we get pullbacks all the time. And guess what? We recover and we make a new high. That's how it works. Jethro says, we're not mad, just trolling, so don't cry. Some people are mad. You could tell. There was this guy at the beginning of the stream that was really, really angry. Chit chat. There are two roads. Option one, narrative 4-year cycle continues. Bear market starting in 2026. Option two, retail is too focused on 4-year cycle that institutions will drive bull market into 2026. Well, number one, I think, is a right option. Not the right, one of the correct options. Number two is, it's not, I don't know if you just stated that weirdly, and I don't quite understand it, but the second option is, yeah, we just continue. Right? Like, with all the buying that's happening between the companies and the ETFs and everything else in between, the miners and also like long-term holders and even sovereign states, if they continue to buy and hold, there's just really little reason to think that we're not going to just continue. So who knows? I guess we'll have to see once we hit November, December. Keep in mind, if the rate cuts, we will have at least 2 this year. The second one may come like November or December. So that can keep things going too. And then who's to say we're not going to have more next year? We may get 3 or 4 rate cuts next year. Especially Powell, you know, his term is over next year, like in May. And whoever the new Fed chair is and the new governors, if they're really now dovish, we could get a whole lot of cuts next year. Roberto says he has some liquidation points at 167 Sol, 37.75 ETH. I'm planning on waiting. What do you think? Yeah, you know what? Looking at this, I don't see either one hitting those marks, but you never know. If you're looking at like a low for ETH, if we pull back more, I could see how ETH could go to like 41.66 based on these levels, right? We have to get some like really extreme pullback to get to 4,000. So I think you're good with ETH. Sol, maybe it could go more. Sol is holding on right there. If it goes lower, it could definitely hit like 177. If we get extreme pullback, 173. I just don't see it going more than that. But, you know, if we get some crazy macro event that drives us further, maybe. But right now it looks unlikely. Even if you look at, like, for example, the 4-hour chart, RSI is down to 29. Pretty low point. We're basically touching this line, utilizing it as a support level and flipping upwards. 1 hour was very, very, very oversold at 20. 15 minutes was very, very, very oversold at 15. The daily chart, about midway for RSI. Stochastic shows that maybe we have to wait a little bit more before that bottom. So a lot of these indicators show that we're there. 2020 Aston Martin Vantage or LC500 for same price. From a prestige level, a Vantage definitely has more prestige, right? It's Aston Martin. It looks amazing, but from resale value perspective, LC500 will destroy it any day. The longer you hold it to, the more the LC500 holds its value, and the more the Vantage depreciates. So just keep that in mind. Abdul is asking about what AI coins I hold. Right now, to be honest, I don't hold any. So I'm sticking right now with just Bitcoin, the big caps. Very similar to my DCA portfolio, but a little bit less. I'm looking for the right question. Jack has the longest username. Jack Midoff Slowy Mike Litris Burns. That's a crazy name. I'm just looking at it's mostly comments on live chat, so I don't have anything to show. Other than, you know what? Let's focus on this. Is Uni a good hole? Uniswap? Yeah. With how hot ETH has become, infrastructure plays or DeFi plays like Uniswap is going to be good. And they have been good. They have been moving up. The last few weeks, they've done well, very well. Am I excited for football? No, I'm not. I'm not a football guy. And my city's team always sucks. So not much to get excited over. Let's look at 12-hour. All right, so looking at 12-hour liquidation chart, I'm for Bitcoin, or liquidation heat map, I should say. We got two levels. If we continue further down, we can certainly smash 114.1, 113.9, and maybe settle there or go here 113.5 or 6. So I see if we push down further, that's probably where we will end up, about 113.6, 113.5. If we get a little push upwards, then we'll probably settle to about like right here, 117.8 or basically 118. So those are two levels right now. Really depends on, I guess, where the momentum lies. Being a sports fan while drinking estrogen metabolizing beer is ultra mega beta. I don't know. What? The fact that you call it a sports ball fan rather than a sports fan shows that it's one of the things like, tell me you're not a sports guy, or tell me you don't watch sports without telling me you don't watch sports. What is that how it goes? Dan, you don't need to like diss all the sports fans out there. People are asking like, what is estrogen metabolized in beer? Do I still have my Robinhood options open? Yes, I do. Those are expirations in January. All the option calls that I hold are in January, so I'm not terribly worried. A lot of these are going to recover in a big way, so we just need to hit a little bit of momentum. Look at Robinhood's trajectory. It tends to bounce off this trend line too, so we'll see. This week is a little more iffy because of Jackson Hole and the minutes, so may disrupt things a little bit, but overall, we're still moving upwards. The trend, the momentum is definitely not broken. Coinbase still struggling a little bit after this fall right here, but Coinbase will recover back up too. MicroStrategy the unknown. MicroStrategy has not really moved for a long time, mostly because he keeps issuing more stock. That's the only problem. That's why I hold no MicroStrategy anymore, because he will issue infinite amount of stock in order to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. So unless Bitcoin starts skyrocketing, you're not going to see a lot of people get very enthusiastic about MicroStrategy or strategy. But Nvidia's up today, Netflix is up today, so that's good. Carol has a very important question. She's buying a house that settles next week. I've been waiting to sell my crypto to pay for it. Should I sell now or wait a few days? You know, that's always a thing. You know, that happens to me all the time. Is I keep everything in crypto, and when I need to pay the bills, then I sell some. And it always seems like right before I need to sell, we get a market dump or a correction, right? So I know exactly how you feel, Carol. You know, you just don't know. This week, the two macro events could be bad and drive us lower, or we just recover back up fully. So it's a 50-50 at this point, whether you should wait or not. I mean, the safe side is maybe not to wait, or maybe you sell a half now and then you half later. So if you sell a half now and then we recover the second half that you have to sell, at least that's 50% higher. If you sell half now and we go down further, at least the 50% you have to sell at a lower price is offset by the price of today. So maybe that's a smarter thing to do. Justin says, I remember getting talked shit to, and for months when Bitcoin went from 10K to 6K, now look who's reminding them who was right. You know, that's the thing. We don't even have to go back that far. All right, just remind you guys. You know, we were at 111 just a few weeks ago. We were at 107 in July. We fell down to 97 in June. And back in May, we were still at 92. So you don't have to go back that far. Even back in April, we were at 73. People were losing their heads back in March and April. Remember, we had these events. We fell down like 30% from top, from 110 all the way down to 73. People were like, oh, the run is over. You know, this 110 was our max of this cycle. People got really, really depressed when we did that. But you know what? We picked up. We kept going and going and going. Let's see Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance ticking up slightly. So did altcoin season end? No. Traditionally, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Traditionally, when you have corrections, Bitcoin dominance skyrockets. That's how it's always been. But right now, even with the recent pullback, Bitcoin dominance did not move. I mean, it wasn't even like this, right? In July, Bitcoin dominance went from 60% all the way back up to 62, 63, right? That's because, again, the market got a little weaker, Bitcoin became stronger. Now it's just like, man, we hardly ticked up. So again, that proves that we are in altcoin season, the very beginnings of it. Like, look at it. Yeah. L Boogie says, I tell people who don't understand, you can film port as long as you can wait 1 4-year cycle. I don't get what film port is. Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. Maybe something along the lines of, yeah, your portfolio is going to be fine as long as you just wait 1 4-year cycle. I think that's what you're trying to say. American Shogun says, I recently dumped all my stacks to DC into ETH and various meme coins. Would you say that was a good move? Maybe the ETH part. I don't know about various meme coins, but yeah, I mean, in long run, it may, if those meme coins are the good ones, and as we come back up, they could be moving faster in stacks. So I don't know. Maybe it's the right move, but right now, again, we're at the very beginnings of altcoin season. So the memes, they have not really regained much. They have come up a little bit, but not too much. So we're not definitely there yet. But we'll eventually get to a phase where memes will explode, every single one. And that's when we know we're in true altcoin season. All right, guys. So to conclude, yeah, we got a couple of macro events to look forward to this week. Is the correction over? Well, according to the Trendline, it may be. We may be bouncing off of this. And you know what? This always happens. That's the thing, right? Just keep in mind. If you don't believe it, just zoom on the chart and look at it. We have these pullbacks. We have these corrections all the time. We just tend to forget them after we form a new high. That's how it works. So do not get feared out in the market. Do not let the FUD take over. Stay strong, stay focused on the future, and continue to hold on DCA. All right? Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one, guys. Take care.